I'm Ashia,
And I'm Aaron.
and you're listening.
To Deadly Sips.
Guys, it's our first episode ever. So it's almost October. Technically during recording. When this releases, I don't really know what it's gonna be. It'll probably be in a couple weeks, hopefully. But yeah, we are just gonna see where this goes.
The buildup has been so strong.
Yeah,
Been
it
super
has.
excited.
This has been on the to-do list for a long time.
Yes.
Absolutely. We have been just longtime lovers of all things macabre and dreary and mystery and real life monsters. And here we are. We wanted to do it ourselves.
Here we are.
Here we are.
And we're ready. I hope you're ready too.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to tell me a little bit about yourself first? Aaron?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So, I'm Aaron, father of 2 children, husband of this gal over here.
I hope you fathered children.
You'd hope so.
Oh, shit.
No shit. You're a lot. I am also a nurse, and we're currently travel nursing out right now in St. Louis. I'm also a lover of all things anime, fantasy football, sports, and love to toss around the good. What's that game called again? Catan. Great game.
My name is Ashia. I also am a mother of 2, hence we're married and we have kids. I'm a dental hygienist. Currently, since we're on the road, I'm not doing much. So, side boudoir photographer. Taking both things aside and being a stay-at-home mom and podcaster.
Mm-hmm. And homeschool teacher. For all those who do homeschooling,
Go
we
you.
salute you.
Yes.
And tell us how you do it. Because I think we definitely need some help.
For sure. So every week we will be, some things will be paranormal, some things will be murder. For me, I will be taking over this episode and I will be doing a murder case.
We'll be reacting together, y'all.
Hardy. So, and another thing in our podcast that we wanted to incorporate, hence the name Deadly Sips, we want to incorporate drinks. And my lovely husband made this drink. Call it the Crimson Kiss. It is bloody and all things fun, and it's delicious.
Clearly, I've taken a few sips of mine, so it's delicious.
Well, I wanted like a take on a Shirley Temple because I figured something bloody. Because you'll find out in a minute. This is vampire related. What all do you put in it?
So it is. Well, some people do vodka, but I put in Malibu rum, grenadine. What was the soda I used? Ginger ale, and then maraschino cherries.
It's so good. So if you want to sip along, do so. Sometimes you kind of need to get through these.
Bottoms up. Be a palate cleanser or a palate number, as you say.
I just want to preface this by saying we are beginners and we're just here to have fun and just see where this all goes. And so, yeah, we're sorry we don't have the best audio and the best video, the best setup, but we're hoping that you'll stick around and have some fun laughs and good drinks.
Exactly.
So
have a good time. That's what we're here for. To have a good time. To try and have a good time while we listen to some pretty sketchy shit. But you know,
absolutely.
But that's why you're here. If you didn't enjoy this kind of stuff, you wouldn't listen.
On the sidelines, like I said, we're still setting everything up. So we don't have an official website, but we do have an Instagram. And you can follow me and Aaron on TikTok under Ashia and Aaron and then we're working to maybe get a Patreon in the works. So look out for that.
Yeah, make you guys some neat stuff. Eventually get down the road, do some merch and new extra leases. Anything we can do.
So like I said, we are just getting started. And if you'd like to take a look at our Patreon, you can join our group. We're just getting that started. We're figuring it all out.
Yes, we're new. Very new.
Yeah, very new. We're just excited to see where it goes. Not getting our hopes up, but just having fun. And we're hoping we can give you guys a lot of cool content and a lot of cool perks. And like I said, we're getting started, so anything and everything helps. We'd love to take this further, so come along with us. All right, why don't we get into the case?
Let's do this. I'm excited.
Obviously, trigger warning. This is a murder case. There will be mention of SA, cult practice, animal cruelty, which is my personal opinion, the worst. But yeah, let's dive right into it. How do you feel about vampires?
They suck. Bad dad joke there.
They do suck. That's kind of the point.
That's where I was going with it. Dad, I make dad jokes.
So, let's learn about Mr. Rod Ferrell, or some people call him Visago. Whenever I hear Rod, I just think of Hot Rod.
Hot Rod.
And honestly,
great.
Unlike this guy, he's the major dickbag. Right. Well, Mr. Rod was born in 1980 in Murray, Kentucky. He was raised by his young mother, Sondra Gibson, and she was only 17 when she had him. She had him really young. He barely knew his dad. So the mom, Sondra, and Rick was the father's name. They met in high school and they dated for a short time and were married, and they were divorced by the time they were 16.
Good Lord.
And she had him at 17, so she was pregnant with him at the time that they were divorced. Now, Rod, overall, he had a pretty troubling childhood. He claimed that he was raped by his grandfather, Harold Gibson, at 5 years old. Psychologists said that Harold Gibson, which is the grandfather, had his friends gang rape Ferrell.
Oh, God.
Which is just like, I can't imagine that as a child.
How old was he?
It said 5.
5?
But yeah, it just said, yeah.
Like,
according to the allegations.
At that age, having someone, anybody, but like your own grandfather?
Yeah, no.
Like,
bad to
that's
do.
just...
I know. Even just like the assumption that happened is horrible. The idea. Like, those are babies, and it makes me sad. And then during the trial for Rod, his maternal aunt testified that his grandfather sexually abused both her and Sondra, which is the mom. Yeah, so it's like there's some merit to that. So obviously he had a troubled childhood, and he developed an interest in the Gothic subculture, particularly vampire mythology. And his mother had some interest as well, and introduced him to an RPG vampire game called Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh, they got a bonding experience.
What a bonding experience. I love video games.
Oh, yeah.
You love video games.
You play them a lot more than I do.
I do. Which is funny because I bought you your first Xbox.
You did?
I did.
The only thing I ever had before that was a Wii.
Yeah.
A Wii.
Anyway, through this game, he just felt a connection to that, which I get, because sometimes you get lost in those worlds. I don't know if that's kind of where that came from. Probably a way for him to escape. But he declared himself a 500-year-old vampire named Visago. Fact. Vampiric lore of Visago was the ninth prince of hell, who had a special ability to see into the future.
Oh yeah, just go ahead and give, yourself the best title.
Visago.
Not just some lowly thing. No, I am the prince of hell.
If you could, why wouldn't you be?
You see the future, then why aren't you, winning all the lotteries and stuff? I have to bring that up.
So Visago, not only did he identify that in real life, he identified with that in the game that was his handle as well. So really, he started to really lose reality between game and real life at that point. He began collecting weapons really young, and he terrorized the local cats. He eventually began cutting himself, and he was fascinated with blood.
Oh, jeez.
That's always a good sign. Another claimed he carved an upside-down cross on his chest, which like you.
What is that? Not hemophilia. That's the fear of... No, it's hemophobia. One of those two things. I can't remember the big words.
Mr. Nurse?
I don't English well.
What? What's English?
Whoever invented English, okay? They don't know what they do.
I think it was the English.
Yeah, but
Have you ever listened to those old videos of like
I know
people
grammar
speaking
good.
old English? I know grammar good. Me neither, bro. That's okay. In fact, I actually like wanted to start podcasting because I feel like I don't tell stories very well.
I don't know. I feel like you do a pretty good job.
I don't know. We're learning. We're learning. We're doing our best over here.
Learning for some learning.
Upside down cross. That's where we were.
All right.
All right. Get back into that.
Great segue.
His mom found some hard drugs in his room, which he was using marijuana and LSD by the age of 14.
Bro.
Which I mean, like any drugs at 14, I'm like, yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty, like, you have to go through some hard shit to be using that so early.
I mean, he went through some hard shit, it sounded like.
Yeah, but just to be like, LSD, let's go.
Yeah.
He decorated his room with upside down crosses, broken glass, books, and his mom felt like things were just spiraling out of control and things were getting worse and worse. And he was falling deeper into this darkness on it.
It's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. I'm not quite exactly sure why, but there is a lot of moving back and forth. Because he was born in Kentucky. He moved to Florida when he was young, and a lot of this stuff happened early on.
Mm-hmm.
So he was born in Kentucky, and he lived there till he was 10. And at age 10, I found that he moved to Florida, and he went to high school there, like really early high school. And he had a budding relationship with a girl named Heather Windorf, but it was not long lived. He moved back into Kentucky his sophomore year, which I mean, that sucks. So he just kind of hip hopping from Florida to Kentucky. So at this new high school in Kentucky, he felt very much like he was an outcast. Like he wore very alternative style. You know, he wore like a big trench coat, combat boots. He just was really edgy. And a lot of kids noticed that. But he found that there was another kid there that dressed similarly to him. And his name is Jaden. Which I mean, like during some of my research, they were kind of like beefing at first, but then he was also like really drawn to him. So they ended up becoming best buds.
And they were soulmates.
So Jaden was already a leader of a local vampire group when Rod came around. And the kids rumored that, you know, that Jaden was very different from society, and Rod just fell in love with this. He loved it. Rod already had, like I said, a very similar look and dressing and all things macabre. And Jaden just took him under his wing and introduced him into the whole world of vampirism. He welcomed him into his cult and his group and just took him in.
Welcome to Chili's.
Welcome to Chili's. Welcome to Chili's. Now, which I mean, like without obviously the murder that's involved, I think that's actually really sweet. Like, you do you. Like, vampirism in itself. I'm like, you do you, bro. Like,
yeah. Get yourself a good community.
And it's funny because a lot of it is I'll get into it in a second, what they believe in, but it's actually just very opposite of what you think vampirism would be about. So in order to join the cult officially, there's a process called crossing over. So essentially it's just an initiation ritual. And you do it to prove your loyalty to your new group.
Hazing.
Yeah. Hazing at its finest. Jaden took Rod to the old Salem cemetery, and they went to a special ceremonial tree. Jaden pulled out a razor blade, good sign, gave it to Rod, where he cut himself 3 times on his shoulder so blood would flow from his arm. And then Jaden drank his blood until the wound stopped healing. Yummy. Then Jaden took that same blade, which I mean like AIDS, and they cut himself with it, and Rod drank from him to complete the crossing over. So essentially they're just like exchanging blood.
All sorts of wrong.
Hey. So wrong, but you
You do you?
I mean,
as a nurse, don't drink blood.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
Especially other people's. Everyone tells you when you're a kid, oh, you know, suck your finger when you cut your finger. That's up to you, but don't suck at someone else's finger.
So at this point, they were now bonded officially through blood, and they sat next to the tree and meditated for a few hours, and then went home. Yeah, they just exchanged blood, meditated next to the tree, and went, bye, bitch.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. It's a
See, on
couple
the
of
flip
things.
side.
A couple of things about vampirism. They actually believe that human life is very sacred. Drinking blood is the only way to achieve immortality, because blood to them is just life force. They believe it's sacred, so it's like, why would you spill that when it's a sacred thing and gives you life, gives you eternal life? A lot of the people in the group, they reported like getting a thrill, like a high off of drinking blood. And some of them even felt like it's high, drunk, or even orgasmic after participating. So they just got off on it, essentially. And then there's, so Jaden at this point is technically his sire. So sire is somebody who is the person who brings you into vampirism and the person who you drink, who turns you into a vampire, essentially.
Gotcha.
So that's your sire. You swear all your loyalty to that person and you get a brand new name.
Mhm.
That is your new family name. In this group,
Jesus.
Scott, Stephen, Vanessa, and there's actually another Stephen. I read a lot about Stevens and I had to kind of get it straight. But their new names, they took on the names of Scott was now Gabriel. Stephen is actually Jaden, which was Jaden's name. He was Stephen. Vanessa is Angelic, and another Stephen took on Raven. And they'd often get sexual, or they would be related by blood since they drank blood. Like they drank each other's blood. So they considered each other like either we're love partners or you're my brother.
Sometimes it seems those lines were blurred.
Overall, they kind of saw themselves as superior. And they felt they had supernatural powers. Todd, in particular, he truly believed he was a vampire. And it's unknown to what extent the rest of the cult members, like to what extent they really felt, like how far they took it seriously. Or if it was more of just a case of kids being kids.
Always a power struggle.
But Rod, he really believed it. And to this day, he claims that he's.
This day?
What I read, yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Things were going great until they weren't.
Always.
That's usually how it goes. Especially there's one instance that really just kind of took a turn between Rod and Jaden's relationship. Rod and Jaden were walking through a trailer park. This is just trigger warning if you don't like animal cruelty.
But skip
the spot. But they're walking through a trailer park and a kitten was walking by. Rod saw it, picked it up by the back of its neck. He petted it a few times. And then it scratched Rod. Because, I mean, it probably made sense that the motherfucker was evil.
Was sketchy for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then Rod pressed it into the dirt really hard. And then he then took it and whipped it across a nearby tree.
Got it.
And it died instantly.
I mean, I don't like cats, but damn.
It broke the cat's spinal column.
Oh, my.
Yeah, pretty intense.
Sick.
No, disgusting. No. We don't talk about Bruno.
No, we don't.
Just straight to jail. After seeing this behavior from Rod, Jaden just felt like that was the end of the relationship. So I mean, like same,
bro.
That would
I'm glad.
1,000% be the same case for me. Even bigger, animal warning. So if you really don't like it, I'd skip. This one's really hard. A few months later, there was a tragedy at an animal shelter.
God.
During the night, the fence had been cut and all the kennels were opened. All the puppies were taken out into a small yard just outside the sanctuary, outside the fence, and they completely just butchered these animals. Their limbs were cut off, then were disemboweled.
Oh my God.
And a worker drove up, noticing that the larger animals were roaming outside the sanctuary, and then she came across the puppies. They were scattered, their blood was drained, head, limbs, and guts were scattered. At first, they thought it was an animal attack because it was so brutal. They're like, an animal came in and just tore apart these people, these poor animals. But because of the footprints, they found footprints in the mud, and the chain link fence on the outside was cut.
Oh my gosh, that alone should just be straight death penalty. You don't kill puppies. That's not okay.
No, they never at the time they couldn't figure out who it was. The sheriff definitely suspected Rod and his friends.
Previous run-ins together then.
Yes. While Jaden liked living their dark style, taking life was taking it to a whole other level. So I'm like, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
For sure.
Which another fun fact, I started reading some of the reports and there was like the name Bones thrown in there. I couldn't quite figure out. And Bones is actually another nickname for Jaden. So Jaden and his friend Michael Schaefer went to Rod's mom's house. Rod went to meet them and his mom was watching and they started to threaten each other. Couldn't quite hear what they were saying, but they started to threaten each other with death. Jaden grabbed Rod by the throat and pinned him to the house. So it escalated really quickly. And to the point where his face turned blue and he let him go. Rod's mom saw this. She came out and said Jaden was just obsessed with controlling Rod. And Jaden said, no one can control your son, not even you.
Two sides of the story, Janet. Or whatever your name was.
Jaden was like, no, like this goes all against everything. That he goes against vampirism. He's taking it to like a whole other level. Well, Rod takes us, he's like, I'm going to start my own clan. And do my own thing.
You guys, I'm going to have. If you haven't noticed, I make a lot of song quotes and movie and TV shows. So.
Yeah. If you guys don't like movie quotes, you're in the wrong place. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but it is what it is. If it bothers you, I'm sorry. Yes. So from this point, like, Jaden banished him from the group, and Rod began using drugs more than ever.
Oh, dude.
He added into the fun little mix he was using, which was LSD and marijuana. He also started using PCP, meth, and heroin.
Just to add it on there. Sprinkle a cherry on
Just a little drug Sunday.
A little bit extra on there.
A little extra. And he started his own clan. So that kid, Michael Schaefer, that went to the house, with Jaden doing the whole deal, that was somebody who Rod had sired in his old group. So they took Michael because he was like really loyal to him. And they started a new group. Who came over was Rod's girlfriend, Charity Casey. She was 16. Dana Cooper, who was 19, and Scott Anderson. They joined. They were all just kind of going through their own individual things of shit, like their own little shitty lives. And they became...
Let's all be shit together.
And they became connected through vampirism. And they all pledged their loyalty to Rod. I just envision Rod being like a visionary, like a vampire who just like wanted to do like world domination. And they're all into that because they like a man who's motivated.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go. That's just how I see it.
It's motivated. Just for the right reasons.
It's Scott, the last kid I mentioned. Just reading all their stories individually was kind of sad. His in particular. Scott lived in a shack. He literally had trash bags for curtains. He worked at a local McDonald's and he met Rod and just became his right-hand man. Shout out. He had a new sense of belonging. They would get together and fantasize about killing people. I mean, like, who doesn't do that?
Everyone who's not a fucking psycho.
So, like I said, they get together and fantasize about killing people, and they claim that they did this more for fun to pass the time, not that they're serious about it. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, who just sits there and is like, it's just fantasy.
I daydream about winning the lottery and what I would do with the money. Maybe I'd do, if I had a different career choice in life, but never crosses the mind of, oh, dude, I'm going to kill that guy, do all this other stuff. No, that's not on my bingo card.
No, not even on the card at all. It is not even in the vicinity. All right, so after this, Rod has his new buddies. Things are going great. And he starts reconnecting. You remember Heather Lindor?
Yes.
I mentioned?
Old flame.
Flame from Florida. So a little bit. He just started reconnecting. They were always really good friends. And their relationship really confused me reading this. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Heather, she was just really rebellious. And she had a really strained relationship with her parents. Her sister Jennifer Jennifer Wendorf, was on the cheer team, and she had a fun new car, and she had a scholarship to Florida State.
Go, girl.
Go you.
Slay queen.
It's just like, they just have the typical Auburn family. Richard, who is her dad, worked for a bottling company as a warehouse manager. And the mom, Ruth, she was a stay-at-home mom. Very, just like, she just enjoyed being a mom, type of mom that was
Typical
like a cool mom,
suburban
like
mom.
everybody loved her.
Yeah.
They just seemed like really cool.
Strong role models.
Strong role models. Heather was a free spirit and was rebellious. I mean, this comes at no surprise. She wore the rebellious part. She wore grungy clothing and often dyed her hair black. She hung a Barbie doll from a hangman's noose from her backpack at school. Like a lot of her teachers reported this, which I thought was wild.
Interesting, style choice for school.
I
So
know.
one place.
I know. Which is funny because, like, seeing that, I would be like, that's creepy, but I wouldn't think much of it. But then back, I'd be like, there were signs. Like,
The signs were
It's like-
there, Carol.
the signs were there. Yeah, overall, like, Heather's relationship with parents was just like, in her whole family in general, but mainly her parents, she just fought so much. There was a lot of tension in the house. Heather and Rod, they used to hang out a lot in cemeteries. There was this one weird instance with Jennifer, Heather's sister, like back when they were younger and hanging out. And apparently he used to like be really into swords.
I mean, same, bro.
I mean,
I
yeah,
love swords.
like who doesn't? He would just be out there and practicing. And Jennifer walked up to him and she asked, she's like, why do you like swords so much? And he replied, you don't see many cats around here, do you? And she was appalled by his answer.
So would, I guess, the whole neighborhood. So it's that guy, him.
It started really, like that whole thing started really young. Rod, this is when, after the sophomore year, Rod moved back to Kentucky and he kept in contact with Heather a lot on the phone.
Pen pals. Well, not pen pals, but
They're phone pals. But here's the thing, I'm like, wild. Him and Heather inquired an $850 phone bill to the point where they were banned from talking on the phone, which I mean, yeah.
that's quite a bit of money.
$50 phone bill. I would be like, y'all, you'd be working. You're working that off.
Oh, yeah.
But they had to resort to letters. All this talking, I think that like Heather would complain to Rod. They kind of talk about him killing her parents.
Oh,
and just how abusive. So here's the big thing was abuse.
mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Heather claimed she was being sexually assaulted, like sexually abused by her father, and that the mother didn't know about it. But there wasn't like, it's hard. I have a hard time with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't evidence of it anywhere. Jen never said anything about it. She's like, no, like my father wouldn't do that. So that was like a thing that like really made Rod like, yeah, like I'm gonna kill. You know, like I don't like your dad. We need to kill him. So after, remember the whole thing with the animal shelter. So with him and his new group of buddies, they were just getting a lot of heat because they were living in the town that they were in, too, was really religious. And they were just starting to get a lot of backlash, just being in the community, like pitchforks. So they left, and Rod convinced them all to go to Florida.
Pack up the cult and leave. Let's get out of here.
Pack up the cult and leave. Go. So obviously, like, his vendetta was like, oh, let's go see Heather. So on November 25th, 1996, shout out to our year we were born. They met outside of Heather's house and they all picked her up. They went to a nearby cemetery. Again, the cemetery. Rod claimed that they made the blood oath together. So they filled the cup with blood and both drank it. So like they went off and did this privately in the cemetery, and then they came back, and all the other members in the group just reported that they were both strangely quiet when they came back. That's weird.
Drinking blood, yeah, that would be pretty nauseating myself.
So after this whole thing in the cemetery, they drove back to Heather's parents, and they devised a plan. They said, "Hey, let's steal Heather's parents' Ford." They're like, "Hey, no, let's just go and steal their car." Since they drove in Scott's car and his car had been breaking down on the way to Florida and they just needed a car. And they said, "Hey, they have a car. Why not just steal it?"
Okay. All right.
That's all right. Heather said the keys were in the house, so they would have to break in. She couldn't just like go in and get it. Otherwise, it would be too obvious that she was running away. Rod told her to leave the garage door unlocked so that he and Scott could get inside. Well, they did it. They went to her house. I think her and everyone else stayed in the car. And him and Scott walked down the back. And he decided that would be a good moment. He did a 10 strip of acid
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a great time. Right
Yeah,
before
we thought
doing
that's-
something stupid,
You know
do
what?
something
Why
more
not?
stupider.
If you're going in, might as well go all in, right?
Balls deep, bro.
Balls deep.
Balls deep.
Let's go balls deep in that acid. Yeah, Heather, Charity, and Dana waited outside in the car. Just a segue into that. How do you segue from balls deep in acid? Oh, okay.
Jumping right in it.
So I can't with you. Richard and Ruth were just enjoying their night like any other. It was any other night.
Normal.
I don't know. He was on the couch and Ruth was in the shower. Rod and Scott broke into the garage, like I said they would, and they went in to get inside to get the keys. Rod, when they were in the garage, he found a crowbar. They both agreed that Scott would go after Ruth, the mom, and Rod would go after Richard. As they entered the house, they noticed that the TV was just blazing loud, so he didn't hear them at all.
Just leave it at that and just sneak right past him.
I know, you gotta
keep that game on and just nope, please. Nope.
So Scott left to go look for the car keys, which Heather said were in her parents' bedroom. Rod snuck behind the couch and sat there. I guess Scott had issues and he couldn't find the keys. And he came back and he just froze completely in the hallway when he saw Rod standing there because he's like, what's going down? And that's when Rod said that the acid fully kicked in.
Oh.
And he swung right at Richard's head.
Oh.
Blood spattered on the curtains, the couch, the lampshade, and like all over Rod. Scott was fully frozen in shock. He wasn't moving. And at this point, robbery had turned to homicide. From 0 to 100.
Grand theft to homicide, bro. Big jump. Really big jump.
Richard Wendorf died of a massive head trauma after being struck repeatedly with a crowbar. So once Rod knew that Richard was dead, he pushed past Scott, who was just flabbergasted beyond belief at this point. And Rod went to go look for the keys. And I guess at this point, Ruth was in the shower. She didn't hear what was going on, but she made her way down to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walked into the kitchen where she was. And she just made a fresh hot cup of coffee. And she saw him, shocked, and she threw it right at him. And it burned him.
Oh, get it.
And she immediately started going for his face.
Yes.
With her nails. And they just ripped him so hard. So she just fought.
Fighter, dude.
She was just badass. Rod took the long end of the crowbar and spiked it down at the top of her skull.
Oh my god.
Said a loud crack just came from her skull. And she fell to the floor. And he just kept hitting her until she was just completely limp. When they found her, there was just a giant hole in the back of her head. And the crime scene photos of this are completely insane. Like, the amount of blood is just wild. Like, he was so violent.
Drugs, I mean, you're on another type of level, so.
Yeah, it's just...
It's inhuman. The things
It's
you can do
just...
with them.
It's just so sad. And so after this happened, he went into the bedroom, found the keys, he took them. He also decided he took a pearl necklace and an antique hunting knife.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, like, okay. He grabbed his buddy Scott, and they went outside.
I'm assuming he's still petrified at that point. Just seeing all that happen.
He grabbed Scott, he went outside, and the girl saw him, and he was just completely covered in blood. His veins were bulging from the acid. I mean, that sounds scary. I'm like,
yeah.
The guy just walking up. I'd be like, hey, what's going on? What's happening?
What's with the new color?
They got into the Explorer with Rod. They drove it a few blocks and swapped the tags out with Scott's tag. And then they drove away. They left. So I added this segment in just because I had to do a little bit more research on this because I saw it somewhere and it seemed like something that was well known, but it wasn't on a lot of articles. So in addition to the blunt force trauma on Richard Wendorf, investigators documented that there were burn injuries consistent with cigarette burns on Richard's body in the shape of a V. And these burns were determined to have been inflicted by Rod as a form of ritualistic cruelty and not a part of the actual attack itself. So it was done after everything. And the cigarette burns were noted. They noted them in the trial testimony and investigative reports used by the prosecution to underscore how sadistic Rod was.
He might have just went in there just planning to do all of this without telling everything.
No, 1,000%.
Maybe that's why he and Heather, that's why they came back all silent.
I don't want to spoil it because I'm going to go into it. But another thing I noticed too that I didn't find confirmed or not, but it also said a lot was that there was a V for each of the members of the cult. It was made out of 5 cigarette burns.
Weird.
So like 1 on the bottom and like 2 symbolizing people. But also there's a part of me that's like, I don't think he's that deep. Like, I think he's just a dipwad idiot.
Dipwad on acid.
Is it dipwad on acid? It isn't.
Balls deep on acid.
Balls deep on acid. So here's the part where I'm like, oh, this is just hard for me to even say or get through. So Jennifer Windorf was
She wasn't.
sister.
Was she there?
No, she wasn't there.
Oh, thank God.
So funny enough, she was actually late. She was supposed to be home for curfew, and she was late.
Good
she came
time to
home.
skip out curfew.
Exactly. Like,
Jesus.
exactly.
Imagine.
No, don't wanna. She came around 10 after curfew, like I said, and so at this point, she's thinking, oh, like I'm gonna be in trouble. So she sneaks into the house. She peeks in, and the living room was dark.
No.
She could see that there was like a figure lying on the couch with the TV blaring, but she didn't see like it was dark, so she thought he was just sleeping. So she snuck past the room to the kitchen, and that's where she found her mom Ruth with the blood everywhere on the cabinets, the floor, and her mother's body. She was on the floor on her stomach in a pool of blood, and her head was completely caved in. Jennifer went to go wake up her dad, and obviously realized that he was also dead, and she immediately ran and called 911. Deputy Jeff Taylor was the first deputy on the scene. The first thing he noticed that Heather was missing, which raised immediate suspicion for him. And, his car was gone.
Yeah.
Their parents' car was gone. They discovered that Ruth's head was bashed so hard that fragments of her skull were found in the next room over. Wild. When the police questioned Jen, who could have done this, she immediately said Heather and her friends.
That was quick. She even knew.
She's like, Heather and her friends could have done this. With her gone, she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Heather was quickly made into a crime suspect. They found the car with Richard's tag on it. So the Scott's car, they found it with Richard's tag. So they looked at the VIN number and discovered it belonged to Scott Anderson. So at this point, they had a name and a car description. So they knew what they were looking for.
Done messed up, Rod?
After this whole endeavor, Rod convinced them to all go to New Orleans so they could start fresh without judgment. Now, this whole car ride did not go as planned. His friends were all mortified at Rod because he was like just covered in blood and laughing. And Heather was sobbing that her parents were dead. Scott replied he didn't know if it was really sincere, if it was a show. Interesting. They made several stops, and Rod threw away the clothes at a gas station and changed into new clothes. After a few days of travel, Rod grew paranoid that the cops were close on their tails. They had been pulled over 5 different times on the road trip, but apparently Rod talked his way out of every stop. So, with all the stuff going on and his anxiety growing, he convinced them to take a detour to Baton Rouge, which...
Baton Rouge, whoever.
Yeah. Make sure
you?
To Baton Rouge, which along the way, he dropped the crowbar into the Mississippi River. River. He dropped the crowbar into the Mississippi River, which I think it's wild because he had the murder weapon in the car the whole time. They killed him over 5 times.
They didn't seem to check anything at any time at all?
No. It was right there and they could have caught him. And they were running out of money, gas, resources. So they started to get stressed out. Charity says to them, hey, my mom has some money that we could borrow. So Rod allowed her to call. She calls home on a payphone and her grandmother picks up and asks where she was. Charity says, oh, hey, can you give us money? But, her grandma agreed to meet her there and give her some cash because they were just relieved to know because I think they all just didn't know where she was. And the group was relieved that they were finally going to be getting some money. So they headed to Baton Rouge, and of course, this was all a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Grandmother was working with the police, which go you,
go grandma.
Go grandma. She know what's up. There was a sting operation at the Howard Johnson Motel, and as soon as they cut their engine when they drove in the parking lot, they were surrounded by police.
Yes.
They were arrested and put into holding cells. Rod and Charity were caught making out on cameras, which means they were just so involved by everything going on. Okay, the only thing about all this, which I find so weird, his girlfriend is Charity, but yet he was willing to murder Heather's family.
That's
Like,
so
you know what I'm saying?
weird.
Like, you know what I'm thinking? Like, there's just such a weird relationship there.
Mm-hmm.
Because Heather, they talked the whole time.
$100 worth, yeah.
$850 worth. They wrote letters. I don't know. But just something there seems off to me. At the beginning of the questioning, law enforcement thought he was high on drugs.
Yeah.
He probably was.
Solid.
He quickly confessed, hoping that the police would let the rest of his friends free. But that didn't happen.
Nope.
They separated them and interrogated them one by one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they wanted to get a full story of what happened, obviously, because they're smart. Dana and Charity admitted to knowing about the plan to kill Heather's parents.
They were
And
planning the
here's
murder.
this. Scott admitted to this as well and said he had been tasked with killing Ruth, but he couldn't do it.
He pussed out.
This was all a facade. They all knew. And Florida is real heavy on the death penalty.
Oh,
so
yeah.
A lot of people speculated that was going to be a big possibility for him,
Mm-hmm.
for like Rod, even though he was only 16, that was going to be on the table. His trial began in 1998, which is during the trial was the first time he saw his father again. Because remember, like way back in high school,
Yep.
first time he saw his father again, and didn't speak to Rod at all. He called him the child and never used his name. After that whole encounter, Rod cried in his cell, which is one of the few times anyone has witnessed him crying. Which I'm like, you murdered 2 people. What the fuck?
Kill puppies, kill 2 people. When your dad calls you the child, that's when you cry.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm like, so the dude's got daddy issues.
Daddy issues. It's always chalked up to daddy issues.
Rod first pleaded not guilty, which I'm like, dumb fuck, because he already confessed to it.
Yeah.
What was
It's all on record. Didn't have any remorse, and then all of a sudden, you want to die?
I'm like, it's just
Man up.
So his lawyers switched tactics, and on February 12th of 1988, he pleaded guilty, hoping to not get the death penalty. His lawyers claimed that he was insane. He'd been diagnosed with schizohyper personality disorder and Asperger's. He saw like angels and demons. But the judge said, yeah, nah, and sentenced him to death.
Ha! Florida, bitch.
Like,
That's probably the state of fuck around and find out.
Yeah, as it should be, because murder 2 people premeditatedly.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
And the rest of them, life in prison. They all knew what they're doing. Yeah, he did it, but they all knew.
So, yeah, he was originally sentenced to death at 17 years old. He was the youngest on death row, like, famously. So Scott Anderson, he was convicted as a principal of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison, even though he didn't physically commit murder. He was present when they happened in Florida, and that was enough to convict him, which he also pled guilty to avoid the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
He was later reduced to 40 years in prison, which he'll be released in like 20.
Keep him locked.
So like 6 more years. So Charity was convicted with 2 counts of third-degree murder, robbery with a deadly weapon, armed burglary, and she received a 10.5-year sentence in state prison. Dana was convicted with the same charges, but received a 7.5-year sentence.
Okay.
Heather claimed during all this, she had no idea that Rod was going to kill her parents, and Heather was never charged with the crime and was let free.
Dude.
Scott claims that she was the mastermind behind the whole thing, especially like that moment between like her and Rod when they were off by themselves in the cemetery for hours.
Like everyone, you had like 4 different people saying, "Oh, she was the mastermind." Or like, "Oh, no, she never did it."
It's like nothing was ever fully said with the group.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like Rod being like, "Hey, we're gonna kill her parents and steal her stuff,"
Yeah.
but like she wasn't there during like the actual murder
Like
talk.
Dingling went off and did the blood oath, didn't they?
They went and did the blood oath, but there's like no evidence to prove that they were talking about murder. So she couldn't be convicted of murder. But I'm like, couldn't you be like conspiring? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, she deserves some shit.
Caught in conspiracy to murder.
Like, there's something there, and I don't know. There's way more to that story. Rod is still, like I said, I think I mentioned this before, but he still considers himself a vampire. They are still vampire cult members to this day. Rod held the record for 2 years as the youngest inmate on death row. Rod claimed he always fantasized about going to the electric chair since he was 9 years old.
I would just flip it on him last second, like, surprise! Here's a lethal injection.
I'm also like, you know what? You don't deserve to get what you want. You deserve
Exactly.
to rot for as long as possible. His
All that
sentence,
crap of like, oh, you get your last wishes or whatever in death row. I was like, no, you don't deserve that.
and his sentence was reduced to life in prison, and he was never given parole. Thank God. There was a resentencing hearing that was held for Rod. Florida Circuit Judge G. Richard Singletary denied Farrell's request for reduction in his life sentence. So Jaden spread the good word of vampirism. Jaden claimed they were just misunderstood. A lot of it was just like the actual feeling of like self-harm. Like they're just cutting. It's the same as a cigarette. Just because you take pleasure from damaging your body and it relieves stress and it calms your nerves. And to this day, he like goes around and like talks about, it's interesting. There's a really cool interview you can watch with him about the whole thing. And he still like, talks about it. Heather went to live with her attorney's family. She no longer speaks to her sister Jen.
Fuck you, Heather.
Yeah, go you, Jen. I don't know. I just think there's something there. There's something. And I'm like, living with your attorney's family, that's wild.
You don't go to someone else's family, you just go to the... Yeah, that's just weird.
Scott Anderson got a sentencing hearing and got his sentence reduced from life to 40 years. He was released in 2031 at the age of 51. Rod is still serving life without parole.
He'll be shanked.
The court recently decided that life without parole is cruel and unusual for minors. So Florida State Supreme Court said all juveniles who had been sentenced to life without parole must be resentenced. So there's a possibility for parole. He says he has a girlfriend, a house, and a job waiting for him. He says everyone deserves a second chance.
Well, everyone deserves a second chance, but fuck him. Thank you.
Yeah, that is the case.
That was heavy.
Yeah.
That was crazy stuff.
Yeah. I'm just like, feel so sad. And I feel so bad for Jen. If you're still here with us through all that, thank you. We appreciate you.
Sticking around.
Thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us.
You can see the humble beginnings that we'll start from.
Yes, obviously.
And it's only up from here.
We can only hope it goes up from here. Like I said, if you guys want to follow us, please follow us on all the things. Like and follow, subscribe. Like and follow, subscribe. All the things. We got YouTube, which I believe is airing in Asia right now. If not, like I'll link everything so you guys can go and click. It'll be a lot easier because the name might change to be a bit more uniform.
Yes.
But I think it's airing in Asia on YouTube, and then Insta it is Deadly Sips, Asia and Aaron, and Patreon should be patreon.com/Deadly Sips. To be adding like a lot of fun things on Patreon. So if you feel so inclined, join us. We're gonna have some fun content coming up for you. And that's everything. Thank you so much for listening.
And sip carefully.